Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the podcast series called Heartbit. I am your host, Eleonora. I am a radio producer in Cyprus, amongst other artistic things, and I'm actually currently learning about Bitcoin, so bear with me. This podcast is aiming to showcase the finest examples of Bitcoiners around the world and all the wonderful projects that they're doing. So this brings me to my guest today, Dea Rezkitha, who is an Indonesian Bitcoin educator and podcast host as well. She also works on an educational platform called Bitcoin, and is also the founder of the Indonesia Bitcoin conference, which is coming up and which we're going to talk about later on. First of all, I want to welcome Dea. Hello. Thank you for joining us today. How's your day been so far?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eleonora, and happy to be in the show. Like, this is the first episode for Heartbeat, so I hope I become a good first episode speaker.
I'm sure you will. You're doing some really inspiring work in Indonesia, trying to educate people, and you seem very passionate about it. So I just want to firstly ask you if you can tell us a little bit about your background, and also what exactly was it that got you hooked with Bitcoin, or orange pilled, as I recently learned that there's a term like that. So
Sure. So my background, I think I'm a bit here and there, like everywhere. Like, I studied international relation. So I guess, with this background, like studying politics and what is the current affair, really, get my attention to what's going on in Bitcoin and like what's going on with the world. But before that, like, I'm also run my own business. Like, I run a retreat company in Bali, and this leads to why I start my rabbit, going on a rabbit hole journey. So I first started knowing about Bitcoin is actually in 2013. At that time, I was backpacking across Southeast Asia, and then I was in Laos, in this like little bar somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Like, I guess it was this little like a touristy spot, and then there's a sign there that says Bitcoin accepted here. So I was curious, like, because it was 2013, not many people know about Bitcoin at that time. So I just asked the waiters, "What is this? Like, what is Bitcoin?" And then the waiters just said, "It's an internet money." So I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
yeah.
But that's the only information that I got. But it's kind of like it kind of lingered in my head. Okay, there's an internet money, something new, all right. But fast forward 2016, I'm living in Bali, and like I said, I run my retreat organizing company. So as a company that arrange a lot of tours and travel, I accept a lot of monies from abroad, but usually it is, like, when my clients pay me, either they pay me through bank transfer or they pay me via PayPal. And it's just, the fee is just taking so much of my earnings, right? Like, the rate is really bad, and it took so long. Sometimes it can take 10 days for the money to come through.
Yeah.
So I was looking for alternative how to get paid in it past, like, and also not getting a lot of fees cut from my earning. And then I found out about Bitcoin again, and there was there was a class that was run in one of the co-working space in Bali. And then inside of the co-working space, they have a Bitcoin ATM. So like I went there, I learned from the educator who's also now become one of my good friend. And yeah, like that's my first time learning about Bitcoin, using the Bitcoin ATM, putting like equivalent of $10, buy my first sats or my first Bitcoin. And that was really interesting for me, like, wow, okay, now I have this digit in my phone. What is this? But yeah, so then I started to use Bitcoin to accept payment. Back then, like it was really nice, like you can just accept payment in Bitcoin. So
Did
like
many people have Bitcoin back then to pay in order to pay you in Bitcoin?
Well, I got two clients who wants to pay me in Bitcoin. Of course, it was really hard to convince them, like, hey, pay me in Bitcoin. But there are like some people who are interested. I got a client from Australia and from Korea, and also from America, who pay me in Bitcoin at that time. So yeah, like it was interesting. Like the whole process took like, let's say, the moment so we meet each other through like this kind of Zoom call, and then we decided on the rate on that time, like how much it is equivalent in Indonesian rupiah versus in Bitcoin. And then the person sent me Bitcoin, my client sent me Bitcoin, I receive it in my wallet, and then I just go to we have an exchange, like an over-the-counter exchange here in Bali. So I just go there like within 5 minutes, and I received the cash, and it's so quick.
Wow.
I did like a comparison with other client who pay me in PayPal. It took 10 days, and then this one took only like, let's say, an hour for the whole process, So
Yeah.
that was a game changing. Yeah, and then but fast forward, 2020 happened, pandemic. Obviously, I cannot continue my business because the whole travel border was shut down. So during that time, I spent a lot of time to just doing reading. Like instead of usually like I kind of busy, organizing retreat, and this time like I just want to figure it out. What's happening in the world and what is it with Bitcoin. So during that time, I just whenever I find something interesting, I like to tweet about it, or I share some posts on Instagram, and then like my friends or my family start asking questions about Bitcoin. So in the end, like I decided like, okay, maybe we can meet up, and then like, like I just tell you what I know, and then like this is not I'm not the expert, but this is what I know so far.
Right.
And that's like how we start Class Bitcoin and the community.
That's how you started Kelas Bitcoin. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
So you started small, around with a couple of friends, educating each other, kind of, and then it progressed and developed into the platform that it's today.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we did like a lot of we did like meetups, we did online classes, and then in the end, like at that time there's also a lot of people who did the same thing. Like they try to educate their community, their friends and family. So then we decided to like, hey, why don't we just combine like our community together and run a conference? So in 2021, we did our first Indonesia Bitcoin conference. Obviously, at that time, it was online because of the COVID restriction. But we managed to gather like around 1,000 people to come and then learn about Bitcoin. And I did podcasts, etc. at that time as well.
Nice. Okay, so it kind of started, like we said, it started small, and then it progressed into Kelas Bitcoin, and then this wonderful Indonesian Bitcoin conference, which is also growing as well.
Yes.
With the speakers as well. I noticed that you have some really notable speakers participating. Can I ask now that we're talking about the Indonesian Bitcoin conference, what is the target audience, and what what should the audience expect to get out of it?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, like the basically in when we did the Indonesia Bitcoin conference, what we want is to one, bring people together and to, you know, to share their knowledge and to connect it with each other. We did it really good as a result on the 2021 and 2022 Indonesia Bitcoin conference. We managed to create like a community of like almost right now like 1,500 people inside of the community that would like to, you know, share knowledge in the Telegram group. Sometimes they fight, you know, with different ideas, but it's a part of the fun fun things that happen. So I'm very excited for this year. We finally can run our first in-person Indonesia Bitcoin conference. And we have Jack Dorsey. He wants to come to the conference. We have some of the big people in Southeast Asia, because I think when we talk about Bitcoin, most of the thought leader are from the US or from Europe. But in Southeast Asia, there are many really wonderful people who are doing really good things in the community, and also to promote Bitcoin adoption. So what we want as well is to bring all these people from Southeast Asia to come together and then to learn from each other. So when it comes to target audience, I guess we want to get mostly like Indonesian for sure, so then they can get a sense of what's happening out there, what's happening in Bitcoin adoption in Philippines, in Vietnam, or even in the US, you know, what's happening. So we want Indonesian people to get that exposure. And then and then of course, like, you know, people from this region as well, because like if you can imagine like Southeast Asia combined together, that it can be like the third largest population, even bigger than the US. So it's a big opportunity.
I remember in one of your interviews, I think it was with Robert Breedlove, that you said that Indonesia alone has 17,000 islands.
Yes.
It's just mind-blowing. And was it something about languages as well, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, we have 17,000 islands. We have, I think, like 400 languages. Most Indonesian people, they can speak 3 to 4 languages, like at least one the uniting language, which is Bahasa Indonesia, and then 2 like local languages, and also maybe English and other language. So it's very common in Indonesia, like if you want to gossip about other person, like just switch to the local language.
That's awesome. That's a great tool to have.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you, what do you find that Indonesian people are receptive about Bitcoin? Like, do they understand it easily? Do they what's the approach that you're getting? The reaction, sorry.
The reaction. Okay. Well, first of all, Indonesian people and Southeast Asian people in general, they are very pragmatic. Yeah, like they approach things based on what's in it for me, you know. So at the moment in Indonesia, Bitcoin is considered to be as an asset, like a digital gold. So people accumulate their wealth and then store it in Bitcoin, and then in hope to make it as a hedge against inflation, because back in the 1960s and 1998, Indonesia experienced quite high inflation. Like in 1960s, like almost 1,200% of inflation. That's why like our smallest fiat or smallest coin is 100 rupiah. And that's like, I don't know, 0.01 cents, I guess, like 1 cent. So it's not such a big amount, but yeah, like the huge inflation really, it's become like our reality that one day the price is going to go up, skyrocketed high, and then during that time in 1998 and 1965, everyone always go to like harder money, like such as gold or US dollar. But right now they also have Bitcoin. So people, especially young generation, they see Bitcoin as a saving, right? So they want to accumulate as much as Bitcoin as they can. And also if they want to make money, like they can also sell it. Like that's still the mindset. And because of this pragmatism, it's a bit different, like in maybe in the US, where people see it in a philosophical sense, like about how Bitcoin is actually creating a sovereignty or freedom. In Indonesia, people say it like, this is how they can store their wealth, this is how they can secure their wealth. And they will that's why in Indonesia also a lot of people are like to trading in crypto, do NFT, do different game. But the one who really understand, they will do this thing, but then they save their earnings in Bitcoin.
That's interesting. I do have this question. Hearing you talk, I have this question forming. Would you advise somebody to save maybe all their money in Bitcoin, or would you consider putting their money in Bitcoin as savings or as investment, or what do you usually advise people to do regarding that? Because it's still volatile, the crypto world, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is volatile, but it's also the same. Like gold always goes up and down. It's just the market cap of gold is quite high. That's why the volatility, we don't really see it on the day-to-day basis. But if you see the trend, like let's say in Indonesia, okay, so I can give you an example. In Indonesia, half gram of gold, 2 gram of gold was 1 rupiah. Now 2 gram of gold is equal to almost 2 million rupiah.
Whoa.
So that's the volatility based on like how fragile the fiat, the Indonesian rupiah that currently being used by Indonesian. Because if you see it as well, if you see the rank, like currency ranking, Indonesian rupiah is considered to be like the lowest top 10 currency in the world. And also in Southeast Asia, there's like KIP, Laotian KIP is also really weak, and then Vietnamese dong also really weak. So this is the reality in Southeast Asia. So what I always suggest to people is to save their money, whatever they feel comfortable, right? Like, because we are not in the Bitcoin standard yet, but so people are still using their rupiah, their dollar, their euro. So what I always advise is that if you have any money, just save 10% in Bitcoin and accumulate that. You can save this 10%, like maybe you get a salary and then you save 10% within in a span of a month, or so you divide it into daily, like let's say you save $10 every day, and this one create a habit that I think has many forgotten to save. Like people always so excited to get a loan and then to get credit card, and then in the end like go crazy because they cannot pay their debt. So our ancestor always teach us like, hey, save money for rainy days. So this is what we in the community preach for our community, at least in Indonesia, is to create this habit, save in Bitcoin, because with Bitcoin, this is the only money that you can own. Because if you save your money in the bank, it's the bank's money. It's not your money.
Yeah.
And even if you buy gold, then there's a problems if you want to travel, if you want to move from one place to another. Like, you have to also figure out like how you custody that gold. Like, you have to having a safe, and then put it somewhere safe. And Indonesia, and also
to carry with you and utilize it.
Exactly. And then we also have history where our government decided to confiscate all the gold, also like in the US. So that's why we think like, if something happened, if another crisis happened like in 1998 or in 1965, at least when the things are chaotic, you still have something reliable that you can use day to day with your peer, with your community, which is Bitcoin. So yeah.
Where do you see Bitcoin, or how fast do you see it developing? Where do you see it in 10 years? You know how the common question when you're interviewing somebody is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Is like, where do you see Bitcoin in 10 years, or I don't know how many years, and where would you like to see it go actually?
Well, I mean, I think Bitcoin was invented in 2009, and then now it's 2022, so it's been around for 13 years. So I see that it's here to stay, and it's going to more and more is going to disrupt the way we do things financially, because we see that our current system, it works before, but it also has flaws. And the flaws now hurting people, hurting the economy, hurting the country, and we need something better, right? So Bitcoin is that experiment. It's something that something that is not controlled by an entity. It's like, it's decentralized and it's global, and it's never failed. Banking system, they don't run 24/7. The banking system always shut down on the weekend. I mean, like, you cannot do some transaction on the weekend, but in Bitcoin, it's 99% always, uptime, like almost 100% even. And so
the zapping or the money transferring it's so fast, it's instant. And it can happen wherever you are in the world. It can happen instantly. I was having a chat with George Saulidis, the founder of loveisbitcoin magazine, and he made me download a wallet of Satoshi, and he zapped me, and he's in Greece, I'm in Cyprus. It happened instantly, and I was shocked. And obviously no charges as well, no fees, no nothing.
Exactly. I have a story though. Like, I was in Boracay in Philippines, where right now there are hundreds, like I think maybe they reach almost like 400, 500 businesses that accepted Bitcoin. So there is a company called Pouch, where they create this app where merchant can accept Bitcoin, or they can receive Filipino peso in their wallet. So for the merchant, this is great. Like, you can interact with anyone around the world. Tourists can just pay you instantly, and then they receive the money. So there are a lot of businesses that Bitcoin. And then one day, like, I went to a bar with with the Pouch team, and then I make a tweet and I make a tweet and I said, hey, does anyone wants to buy me a beer? Like this is the code, this is the
That's a great
lightning
idea,
address.
That's
This is
awesome.
like
I want to do that.
you should do it. You should do it. It's really fun. So like I tweet that yeah, like this is the lightning address, send, buy me a beer, right?
Send
So I was
help.
just yeah. So I was just there, waiting. And then 5 minutes later, someone from Nigeria,
Wow.
she sent the shop the money to buy the beer. And I get my beer. Like,
Nice.
can you imagine how this thing is going to work in a traditional finance system? Like she's from Nigeria. I'm in Boracay, Philippines. I'm Indonesian. So if you think it like in traditional banking system, she needs to convert her Nigerian money to US dollar, send US dollar to my Indonesian bank account, convert my Indonesian bank account to Filipino pesos, and then pay the merchant. Like this thing will not happen in a seconds, right? Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
but she can buy me beer from
That's
from Nigeria.
amazing. That's such a nice concept. I really do that now.
You should do it.
Okay, so obviously the ultimate goal would be for everybody to use Bitcoin and all the countries to make it their legal tender, right? From the government's point of view, do you think that is that something that's feasible, do you think? I mean, because obviously, letting go of the control is I'm assuming it would be like a scary thought for them. But also, if we're being realistic and actually pragmatic, how do they ensure that, for example, people are going to pay taxes if that was to happen globally? Well, how do you think?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, Eleonora, because of course, like you will wonder like why government would want to accept Bitcoin, right? Like why would government want to use Bitcoin as legal tender, which means that there will be less governing.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
the fiat money is how they like it's the currency that enables them to do all this government work. So what I see, of course, there will be push and pull, and some countries, especially like countries like El Salvador, or let's say East Timor, or any other countries that don't have their own currency, having an alternative currency that will not affect their politics, their economy, it will be preferable, right? Because if you are using other currency, like if you're a country and then you're using US dollar, then you are subject to whatever policy that US make, and then you will be subject to sanction and all these things. So of course, like I can see that adoption will happen in the countries that doesn't have their own native legal tender. So they're using US dollar, they're using like CFA, like the French money. So that allows them to get more freedom, more sovereignty, if I can say. And then it's just like internet. Bitcoin, like the way Bitcoin progress is the same like how internet progress. Like before, people would just like, yeah, this is just the nerd who likes it. It's just for hobbyists, and then it's for scammers, right? It's for terrorists.
This is what I've been hearing a lot from people that are, afraid, because usually people are afraid if something new comes up, the first reaction is like, "Ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm a little bit scared. I'm suspicious. I'm like, there's so much fear around some like new concepts." But here you are explaining to us that basically, and you know what, I think I've noticed this as well, that it's something that we've been talking about with George as well, that it actually depends on where exactly in the world you are for you to kind of realize its potential, because it does actually provide solutions to real world problems. But for example, Cyprus, the island, it's an island in the Mediterranean, it's in the European Union. It's not something that immediately I think about it and I go, oh, okay, this is the solution that we needed. Obviously, there's benefits for a European to use it as well, but it's not like, for example, Southeast Asia, like you said, so many different countries and borders and fees and control, and I suppose it depends where you're from.
Exactly.
At this point, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like up until now, we are still trying to define what is Bitcoin, right? Some people said it's a store of value. Some said this is digital cash. Some said that this is a way, method of payment. Like it can be anything, and it can cater to different needs, like what you said. And I see it that right now, you can see the biggest adoption is actually coming from the global south, from the countries that, let's say that in Africa, that probably doesn't have a good financial system or cross-border payment. Like it's almost impossible sometimes, like people, if someone from, let's say, Sudan wants to send money to their family in Kenya, like even though like they're very close to each other, but almost impossible to do this. So yeah, this benefit like remittance, and then payments, and then store of value, this is what Bitcoin can offer. And also coming back to your last question about what's going to happen with the government, what I see or what I predict is that when more and more government have to adopt Bitcoin because so many people are using Bitcoin, then the government will become more effective as a government. Maybe we will have smaller government, and the government will just doing like a service to the community, because like with fiat, what happened is that this is the tools for them. If you are not doing what according to what they want, they can use force, and the force can be physical, and the force can also be financial. But if the government cannot control especially the financial means, like what they used to, now the government have to, let's say, service their people, right? And show that, that they will earn their money, because now the people can choose if they want to pay tax, and the tax, maybe it's not tax, maybe it's called subscription, or maybe it's called service fee. I don't know. There are some things that of course, like we need to pay the government for things that we are using together.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not like, that you are kind of robbed, if I can say that. You have to pay so much money, and then you don't have any control, and then at any time that your bank account can get shut down. So this is more like voluntarily. So then the government will act like a company. The government will act to give the best service.
Yeah, it almost feels like as if the roles will be reversed, and we're going to be like, okay, government, show us why we need to pay you. It's like,
exactly.
What exactly are you offering us? And then the quality of life actually, it feels like it's gonna just get better, because they're gonna keep trying to prove themselves that, you know, we're worthy to be in power, A, and B, we also need to get paid. So can you please pay us, people? It sounds
Exactly, because
fun.
they don't have the control of force anymore. And yeah, I mean, when you don't have that force, so you have to earn, right? You have to earn people's trust. You have to earn their respect, their loyalty, and that can only happen through good service.
Yes, absolutely.
TikTok next block.
What exactly are you talking about in this year's Indonesian Bitcoin conference? Is there like a theme? Is there something like a message that specifically you want to pass on to people, or are the speakers talking about different things? What's happening?
Yeah, this year theme is about learning, connecting, and building. Because what I see is that most people, I can say that most people already know what is Bitcoin. Everyone at least already heard about Bitcoin one way or the other, right? So what we want to encourage in this conference is to showcase what are the things that was enabled through Bitcoin, like what are the apps that that currently available, like the Lightning apps that are available, or Bitcoin businesses that are available, or any other potential possibility that is already happening outside of Indonesia. So we want to showcase this opportunity to Indonesian people to learn, and then to observe. And I hope that they can also build something that is relevant for Indonesian people. So not like in one of the event that we are going to run a lightning hackathon, because there are many good developer in Indonesia, but I think what they are lacking is that they just don't know what is lightning. And they own, like most people, when they think about crypto, they just see like, oh yeah, Bitcoin is so boring, you cannot build anything on it. And then most of the cool stuff happening in Ethereum because they have solidity and all these things. And through this side event, like I want to showcase that, hey, there are many things that you can build on top of Bitcoin in this layer 2 in Lightning Network, and look at these amazing apps and businesses that has built around it, and what is the potential that you can do. So yeah, that's mainly that's the theme. There are also like several topics, like we're going to talk about future of payment. We're going to talk about lifestyle and community. We are also going to talk about investment, like low time preference, and then
What is that? Sorry.
Low time investments, meaning that the concept of that you are doing something now for the future gratification. So you are holding back on things, like let's say high time preferences is probably getting a loan, like you immediately you get the gratification at the moment. But low time investment means that, okay, maybe you are saving, you are continuously what we call dollar cost averaging, which is just, buy a small sum of money, maybe $10 every day worth of Bitcoin, and accumulate that in 5 years, and then you will create getting a lot of stack of Bitcoin in your pocket, right, in your wallet. So that's low time preferences. And also we're going to talk about Lightning and open source development, like Nostr. It's a new private protocol for, like social media. So this is very cool right now that there's no way, like no one can shut down your account. So this is also a protocol that is being built on top of Bitcoin. And you can also send, instead of like just sending likes, Eleonora make a really cool, not tweet, like the status or whatever, like the stories. I can send you money. Like I appreciate your content, so I can send you Bitcoin. And this Bitcoin that you receive, your sat that you receive, if you receive, quite enough sat that you can go to a coffee shop and then get a coffee, right? So that's
amazing.
Yeah, that's now the future, like why you're just earning likes, you spend so much time.
When you could earn Bitcoin instead, like
yeah, exactly. When you could earn,
I would get Bitcoin over likes any day.
Exactly. And you spend so much, you spend time, you spend energy and love and passion toward like the content that you create. Why don't you if people like it, like they can immediately give it to you, rather than through a third party, through like, let's say YouTube, and then YouTube goes get it from ads, and then ads gonna give you some money. Like I'm, as a listener, can give you money.
Yeah, that's a cool concept. Okay. Interesting. So what have you faced any challenges? Because you're such a positive person. You seem like so happy to be working for Bitcoin, and you have all this energy to educate people. But I'm sure it wasn't an easy road to get to where you are today, and I'm sure there's so much more that you will do in the future. But what were the challenges that you faced, basically?
I guess the challenges, what I see like in Indonesia, is that like there are not many Bitcoin only company, right? Like if you want to be very focused and very, holding this integrity, ideally you want to work with like Bitcoin company, but at the moment in Indonesia, there is, I guess there is some Bitcoin, like apps and products, but they're very small scale. So that can be a challenge, if you want to be a content creator and you want to, share, you have to do this because you like it. You like to do it, instead of maybe other influencer, they can get paid by promoting a token, and then they will get a lot of money, but if you want to be in integrity, then you shouldn't do that, like you shouldn't selling token that you don't know that it will be benefited for the for the people or for your community. So that's the one challenge. And obviously, like sometimes with Bitcoin, we have a cycle, so now we are in a bear market, so always trying to make people excited during bear market is quite, it's harder than when during the bull market, when everything is exciting and the price go up and everyone always see it from the price. So like we always want to educate people and then showcase like, hey, this is the technology, this is what exciting, this is what happening in the world right now. So yeah, just to engage people. And I guess the third challenge is that because inside of the community, there are so many different type of people, like some of people are very maxi, like only Bitcoin. And then there are some people who are, pragmatic, and then they fight. And then you have to like, guys, it's okay. Like everyone can say what they want to say. but that's just the daily routine. You just share your knowledge, chat with people, having some little fight, and then make up, and then do it again next next day.
It's a cycle. Okay, so do you feel all this time that you've been learning about Bitcoin and educating people about Bitcoin, do you feel like you've changed at all as a person, like your ideology, your philosophy, your perspective on life? Has it changed at all? And if so, how so, basically?
That's a very good question. That's such a good question. I mean, I have to say though, even though I bought my first Bitcoin in 2016, I didn't really get it until 2020. And
I was gonna ask about that too, actually.
Yeah.
I'm still like trying to, learn about everything.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like most people also having this phase, some people they bought early, they probably dabble in different type of shitcoin or altcoins, and then they just get a wake-up call. And for me, my wake-up call was in 2020. I think I was just like watching some YouTube, and I saw Max Kaiser, and then he was talking about the current economy, and then suddenly it just clicked, like, whoa, wait a minute. Like I mean, I guess 2020 was a wake-up call for everyone, like to see like, whoa, what's happening in the world. And I was trying to find why this thing happened, like what is our solution, what can we do. And then I don't know what was it, I can't remember, but it was just a click to me, and everything's just shifted, and since then. So if you ask me, like, what is the difference between before that point and then after that point, I guess before that point, I see the world very pessimistically. Like I see like, oh man, we are doomed. Like this thing is gonna happen. The world is gonna get worse and worse. We're just gonna go to war. And all I can see is just the bad, the dark side, I'm still seeing the dark side at the moment, but I also see like, but we have Bitcoin. So if this thing happens, well, it can happen, but we have an alternative here that if something really bad happens, we can have a way out. And I see that in my, at least when the war between Ukraine and Russia started. In Bali, we have so many Russian and Ukrainian people also living here. So when the war started, and then especially for the Russian, and then the sanction happened, they don't get they cannot access their credit card, they cannot access their bank account. I mean, this is just a regular people who happen to be in Bali and suddenly become homeless because they cannot afford to pay their accommodation and all. And the people who have Bitcoin, like they are still fine. They are. It's like, okay, a bad thing happened, it's really bad, but I still can survive,
That's
so
true.
So I was like, whoa, this is another proof that even at the worst case scenario, people can still protect themselves and then go somewhere. I know a guy who was in Ukraine, and then before everything shut down, he immediately, he has a lot of Bitcoin, so he immediately buy, his plane ticket and then go to Indonesia. And then because he have all of his money in here, through his seed phrase, so he just, open up a wallet and then, sell some Bitcoin and then get some money and then, start again, and then chilling in Indonesia while the war is happening. So this is crazy. So that's what I see, like my worldview change. And I guess that's why I feel a bit optimistic, is because like I feel like it's okay. Bad things gonna happen, but we also have new things that wasn't here before.
Yeah, that's true. It's a ray. It feels like a ray of sunshine.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. Okay, well, at this point right now in our interview, I think it's such a nice little note that because we're coming to an end, it's such a nice point, I think, to finish with a bit of a positivity, because things are happening. A lot of things are happening around the world that they're not very nice. So it's good to know that we have Bitcoin, and if we do educate ourselves more about it, because it's important to obviously make informed decisions, be not because we're two nice people talking about it right now. You need to really know what you're getting yourself into, because there's pros and cons in Bitcoin as well. Like, for example, one con that I can think about right now is that there's no, for example, customer service. If something goes bad, or for example, if you forget your code, your password, I suppose, I'm not sure. I mean, that's it. But at the same time, it's also a pro and a con, because you hold the power, basically, nobody else. But you hold the whole power, and with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, it's true. But also, like, regarding like this customer service, and then if you forgot like what happened, like this, sometimes like having your own self-responsibility is really scary. But like I said, like, people in the Bitcoin community continue improving things, so then they can create something to improve the experience, but also does not compensate the privacy, the decentralized, and good things about Bitcoin. So for instance, right now, sorry, like if I just give like another example, like in Bitcoin, there's a new protocol called Fedimin. So then through Fedimin, you can instead of like be your own bank, you can be your community bank. So let's say you and your family member can create a communal, like a community of Bitcoin, so in one pool. And if you forgot your keys, there will be someone within that community, maybe someone that you trust, maybe it's your uncle who knows Bitcoin and very tech savvy, and this person can help you to restore your Bitcoin, but he will never know how much Bitcoin you own. He can just help you through, like, there will be still privacy, and then but it's much better than just a customer service, because most of customer service is just stranger. But if it's
they're not even that helpful to you,
sometimes not even that helpful. But if it's your own community, it's your own family, they can verify you easily. Oh yeah, that's Eleonora, and Eleonora needs help. We can help her to restore the key. We can help her to do this thing. But they don't really need to know how much Bitcoin you own.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah, so they can definitely give me access basically to my own money without them actually knowing my private information, which is how much they can just help me. They can just give me the key, I suppose.
They can help you to restore it, because it's more like a technical thing, but you will have some information, they will have some information, but they can act as your customer service that you need without needing to pay that big amount of money for like the third-party custodian, etc. So this is something that is developing in Bitcoin. So because we know that custody your own Bitcoin can be daunting for a lot of people if they don't have the technical skill required, right? in the end, people should custody their Bitcoin, but in between, there's pediment.
I'm sorry if you're hearing my cat. He's very like interested in this conversation, so I'm very sorry if you can hear him meowing. But okay, yeah. There's, I mean, you know, there's the future is only. It seems bright, and the Bitcoin, as it seems, like, for example, I didn't know about this development, so it's good to know that there's being, you know, things done, I suppose, to better the experience of the people and make it more accessible and less scary, I suppose.
Yeah.
Less daunting, I think.
Less daunting, yeah.
Yeah, is the right way to say it. Okay, well, Dea, thank you so much for I honestly couldn't ask for a better first guest on our podcast, Heartbit. I really hope, you know, you have a great rest of your day, and keep up the good work. You're very inspiring, honestly.
Thank you, Eleonora, and really happy to be here, and good luck for the rest of series of podcasts, and I'm sure there will be much more interesting people to, you know, to come as your guests.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Okay, thank you. You too. Bye-bye.